Morning, Vernie.
Vern Lee.
You are the early bird. You're the first one here, young lady. Everything going good at your place? I hope so.
If you can hear us okay, Vern, give us thumbs up, okay?
Here comes Sandra. She's the
Mm-hmm.
first runner-up. And Deaquilin, here she comes.
Ackland Lee.
In third place.
She coming on for the home run for the home
Hello,
base.
Karen Dentendo.
Miss Karen.
Good morning to you guys. Good morning to you.
Dion and George.
Good morning, Dion and George.
All right.
It's a beautiful day today.
You guys are rolling this morning.
And I pray that you've had a good night. Vern said everything is good.
Okie dokie.
I am so glad. All right. Hope you guys have got a good day planned. A day to chill, a day to walk in the park, or a day to sit on the porch or on the deck, or to grill out, and or just sit and binge on some TV shows or whatever. Hey, Tanita. Hello, Kim. Good morning.
Good to have you guys.
Good morning, Valerie Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Glad you're here. All righty. Hello, Deb. She just popped in here.
Yeah. Good to see you. All of you guys are rolling.
Okay. You want to get started?
Yep.
Let's do it. It. All right. Let's do our prayer of surrender. We're going to do that quickly. If you would, hope you're not multitasking. You're just sitting. Hello, Marlon. Good morning, Apostle Norman.
Brother Jones. Brother Jones.
Brother Marlon Jones.
Yeah, Marlon Jones.
Yeah, and Sissy and my brother-in-law. Good morning to you guys.
I didn't even see his name come up, but Jones came up in my head, like my inner self saw his name come up before I physically looked at it.
Okay.
Brother Jones, Sister Jones, and all the Joneses.
Well, all right. We're going to do our prayer of surrender. And if you all are just sitting still, it'll be great. If you don't have any distractions, good morning, Joe.
Joe Lee.
And we're going to do our prayer of surrender right now. So if you will repeat after me, take a deep breath in and let it out. Release it with all the tension that you may have, if not all of the concerns you may have, all of the preferences you may have of how things should go, how things need to go, what needs to happen. Let that just slide away. And take another deep breath if you would. And feel the peace. Now release everything that is a negativity. Release all of that. Release all the humanness. Let it go. Release all the humanness. All the human concerns. And just breathe normally. And hear whatever's happening around you. Hear it. Without opinion. Without commenting. And feel the stillness. And be still. And know. Be still and know. And repeat after me. There is nothing to change.
Nothing to change.
Nothing to do.
Just the way it is.
Nowhere to be. I belong to you, Lord. Everything I have is simply entrusted to me. All that I have is not owned by me, but belongs to you. My body, my home, my car, my job, my family, my time. I'm going to switch it around a little bit because when we say my, it becomes personal. Let's just say this body belongs to you. This house, the car I drive, the job I work on, the family I was born into, and the time that has been allotted to me. It all belongs to you. You are what I am. You are who I am. You are why I am. And you are where I am. I belong to you, Lord. Thank you for accepting me just as I am. And Father, on this day, let it not be a day spent in the mind, but a day absorbed in unity with you inside my heart. Be in my eyes and in my seeing. Be in my ears and in my hearing. Be in my mouth and in my speaking. Be in my mind and in my understanding. And so it is. All right. We'll jump right on in, young man.
You got something else? Go ahead.
No, that's it. That's it. Good morning, Charles Blue. Good morning, Fleta. I'm glad you're here. Stephanie, I'm glad you're here. Lori, I'm glad you're here. Miss Pearl, I'm glad you're here, sweetheart. And Miss Pat, how are you this morning? She said let's find out how Miss Pat's doing. Let's see what we said here. Pat says, good morning, pastors and church family. I am still under the weather after my surgery, but I know that it takes time and that God will bring me through. And thank you for your prayers. I'm so glad to hear that, sweetheart. I'm glad you're mending and you're on your way back to recovery. And we thank you so much for letting us know how you're doing. Hello, Miss Eleanor. Thank you for that cake, Miss. You guys, last time we saw you and we were here on live, we asked Miss Eleanor to send us a cake, bake us a cake, and fax it to us. Miss Eleanor, she baked the cake and sent it to us in the mail. It was sitting at our door, wasn't it, hon?
Mm-hmm.
That was so good, Miss Eleanor, and it's been really good. I shared it with my family yesterday, and everybody loved it. Good morning, Jill. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'm already. Go ahead. What are you doing?
Okay.
What are you doing today?
In the 16th chapter of Matthew,
Okay.
20th verse, then charge he his disciples, and they should tell no man that he was Jesus the Christ, meaning that he was a suit that was not rebellious against his true identity, the Christ. That he was Jesus, the part of him, the physical, finite self, was in perfect agreement with his infinite identity.
Yeah.
That he was Jesus, the part of him that was born, was in agreement with the part of him that was not born, that part of him that had no beginning, no end. That he was that part of man that all men are in the same situation that he was in, and could overcome the distractions of his finite self when it comes down to recognizing his no dying self. That he was the part, Jesus, part of him that was a part of him that was no beginning, no end in relationship to the Christ self, but that the Jesus self was in full agreement and surrendered to the absoluteness of his eternal self. The infinite self, no eternal self. At this point, Jesus, no eternal self, was in line with limitations, but had found out how to operate with the Christ self in the same position as an unlimited physical self. From the time forth he began, from that time forth began Jesus, the limited self, or seemingly to show unto his disciples, the limited self showed to his disciples how that the unlimited self and the limited self must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things of the limited self of others who don't understand their full identity, which were the elders and the chief priests and the scribes. You catching this? Good. And to be killed and to be raised again the third day. This third day was in the finite dimension, operating from a limited self, but Jesus the Christ was telling them what his unlimited self was going to do in the presence of limited ego minds that was addicted to going and stopping ups and downs and ins and outs, attitudes, bad moods, limitations, and physical boundaries. So what he did was let them know that these physical boundaries was going to be overruled or overridden through the Christ self. So that means this: we are the same as he was then now. Maybe it seemed like in the illusion of 2020, 21 years ago, 2021 years ago, up to now 2021 at this present moment in this story. But at the same time, Jesus, and his name was Jesus then, and his name is, what's your name is, Virginia, Joe, Pure Presence Production, or
his name Pure Presence.
Yeah, Pure Presence Production. Yeah.
By the way, Laurie's asking what time does it start. We always start at 10,
10,
Laurie, unless we announce otherwise. I noticed my sister brought to my attention that when I schedule the live streams, and I don't mean to cut you off, schedule the live streams, that for some reason the timing is different when it posts on Facebook and on YouTube a lot of times. I don't know what the reason for that is. I'm still checking into it. Hopefully I'll get that cleared up really soon. But yes, we always start at 10.
These elders in Jerusalem and the disciples and the Jesus self was the physical part of them. And that was only at this time one physical being that was standing there that understood the whole story, the whole or the fullness of the Christ self. There were other Christ selves that were standing there that the Jesus physical self was talking to, using his infinite voice or communication to speak through a finite body vocal cord to explain to them that he was under a charge and that he was going to stand in front of all finite physical beings at this moment and tell them what was going to take place to his physical body, but his unlimited self was going to speak it, say it, and do it. See, what he was doing here was speaking, and from his speaking, doing. He was speak, spoken, doing.
Speak, spoken, doing.
Yeah, speak, spoken, doing. And he said to them before this, he said, I just showed you who I was inside this physical Jesus self in the Mount of Transfiguration. And I'm going to let you know in a physical world how this unlimited Christ identity works. So he said, from this time forth, when you see that little flag on the 21st verse in your Bible, that little flag means it was another day, another month, another day, or another time. it finally came around into the finite time area of the physical, where Jesus said, look, let me tell you something. I'm going to show myself to you guys, the truth of who I am inside of this body. Lord have mercy.
Wow. Wow.
And here's what I'm going to show you. And I'm going to tell you first, but then I'm going to tell you from my Christ self using this physical body exactly in details what's going to happen. And
private joke.
And I'm going to show you how that I must go to Jerusalem and suffer under the hands of physical bodies, but it's not going to touch my infinite, eternal Christ identity.
Wow.
That's what he's telling them right here.
That's good. That's good.
And he said, it will suffer. The suffering will be separate and apart from my true self.
Wow. That's good. That's good.
But he said the sufferer.
So now this chapter and verse was what?
This is the 16th chapter of Matthew, the 20th and 21st verse on down.
And you're getting Sawyer's paraphrase.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing. I'm breaking it down using eternal, infinite, finite, physical,
speaking from
limited,
oneness.
Unlimited, and transferring over from separation to no separation, limited to unlimited, and letting you guys see in the scripture it's here.
Yeah,
but we've never been shown. We never found out how to see it.
Well, you don't see it unless you look at it through oneness.
Yeah.
When you read it through oneness, it's totally different meaning.
You're not going to see it until by what I'm going to read here by revelation, by insight, and this is and I feel a something coming up in me. I'm gonna say it. You won't see it, but by grace.
Yes, that's true.
This is the first time out of 51 years that I've ever said this to you and heard it come out of me. So I have to buffer my ego mind, okay? Because it wants to say I got something that you guys didn't see or didn't know. No. I ain't going for that. I ain't going for that.
Yeah, we know that's not.
It may be so, but I'm not going. I don't have time to fool with that monkey, okay? And you don't either. No, you don't want to hear it, but you need to. But you need to hear this, okay?
Yes.
Now, this Jerusalem is physical. These elders are physical, and these chief priests and the scribes, they're physical. But none of these people understood who they really were as they stood in this arena.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Jesus is the physical self that was processed through an announcement from the non-physical world to come into a physical world and use a physical title and name. But understand this, when it was said through this vessel, which we are vessels in physical. See what I'm saying? There is no difference than him then than we are now.
It's the same. It is the same. And I don't think he intended for us to idolize him. Jesus, that is. That was not his intention. His intention was to be an example of what it means to be a human walking in its divinity.
Watch this. Here's what was said. And he charged his disciples that they should tell no man that he was the Christ. Hold it right there. That said this through this physical body and vocal cord. What was saying this out of his mouth? Us.
Yeah.
Now, when I say us, I am not talking about this.
Yes, I know.
I'm talking about that was speaking through this is the same that's sitting right here or out there in this audience now that's looking and listening. It is the same one.
The same one.
The same. He said, if the same spirit dwell in you, I'm going to change that. If the same spirit be you.
Yes.
Not dwell in you. See, a lot of people think that if something is in something, that is really great.
That's compartmentalized. Yes.
Wipe it out, erase it, start over, or erase it. Don't start nowhere. Just be. You are the one that's speaking this through the mouth of the physical body of Jesus, and you are the one that's observing the reading of it through this program this morning. and it
Yeah,
is not
yeah.
changed one bit.
So now someone might say, well, why are you changing the scriptures when it said dwell in you? And my answer to that is that we are daring to speak from that oneness. We're daring to speak from that oneness, and to stay in that awareness that is the labor, isn't it? Because to stay in that labor of oneness is what we go against everything that has been every condition we've ever been under.
It's called effortless oneness speaking.
Yes.
Effortless speaking oneness.
Yes.
Oneness speaking without effort. No effort, oneness speaking self.
Oliver, hey Ollie, I'm glad you're here. Been thinking about you guys so much. As he is, so are we in this world, Oliver says. Yes, sir.
Now,
and Marla asked a question, or she made a statement. Some can leave their bodies during abuse. I suspect that is what Jesus did.
Okay, let's speak to that. At the moment in the 21st verse, at the 16th chapter, Matthew, sweetheart, he was still body and spirit if you're going to go into separation.
Yes.
He hadn't left his body yet. What we're trying to say to you and all of us are, is that in this body, if you want to go back to compartmentalizing, yeah, we are 1, 2s, and 3s. But what Jesus is doing here in the scriptures is using his separated self, physical mind, to speak forth from his infinite self a prophetic word. And that prophetic word is not anything else but what is to be expressed from his infinite, eternal, no dying self. If you were right now to start expressing, talking to me on this site right now,
from that no dying
self, you might say something, you might not. You might speak a whole lot, you might speak a grunt. I have no idea in my mind. Until it takes place, you know nothing about it. Or until it is said or revealed, you know nothing about it. But this point here that I'm reading here, there was something revealed. That's the reason why I said take no thought, because when it said take no thought, is that you do not allow the monkey mind to precognosate.
Oh, that's a new word.
Or to try to dictate ahead of your eternal self what you might, what it might think the eternal self might say.
Yes. Now I do know this, that you cannot live life fully trying to remember who and what you are.
That's
you cannot
right. Mental, this left brain.
Remember who and what you are. The trying becomes the suffering. The trying itself becomes the suffering. So it's a very spontaneous and effortlessness that takes place, and it is by grace, isn't it? It is by grace at the outcome of your seeing. Because at the seeing of Christ in yourself, your heart opens up and everything opens up. The understanding of oneness opens up at that seeing, doesn't it?
Now, when this thing is finally sanctioned, that this, let me say it like this to all of you. You are the universe.
Yes.
It's, your senses will tell you that the universe is too big to be inside of me. Now, he told you that the kingdom of God.
And the truth is, there is no inside.
Okay.
There's no inside or outside.
That's right. There you go.
That is the language of duality.
Here's another one. I am bigness in you.
As you. Or you can take the as and the in out and say, I am big.
I am oversizing you. I am outsizing you. I am unlimitizing you.
That's a new word.
Yeah.
Unlimitizing.
I am busting you open. I'm big, oh wow. My goddaughter was uptown with us in the car, and this lady had this dress on, and it was stretching on the buttons like
she was heavy. The
she was
lady
really
was
heavy.
heavy.
And she said, "What did Yvette say?"
She said
that lady is
that dress is busting out of her. Well, you know, we say now, bust a can of biscuits.
Yeah, she did.
She looked like a busted can of biscuits. That's what she looked like.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Anyway.
I like what Oliver said. The in Christ, the in Christ that we speak of in the Bible or in our conversation is all the awareness that Paul had.
Now, the fullness power is the fullness of awareness. Now, when you are fully Oliver, you don't have to hesitate and try to make somebody distinctively recognize Oliver distinctively as being Oliver. You don't have time. In other words, you don't enter into a rest about being Oliver. Exactly. So now you say, and you're not trying, good morning, good evening, hello. And you don't say, I'm Oliver saying good morning.
So you're not trying to remember that
there
you're
you
Oliver.
Go. There you go.
Yeah.
You know, Jesus didn't say, I am the
so let's talk about this. Entering into that you know you are. That you just made that comment. When you know, when you enter into knowing who you are as Oliver, we're using Oliver as an example. And I'm sure Oliver doesn't mind. When you enter into that fixed awareness of being Oliver, you're not trying to remember.
Here's a good one. It ended up in first person.
Okay.
In first person, somebody wrote this and said, then he charged his disciples that they should tell no man that he was the Christ or Jesus the Christ. And from that time forth, began Jesus to show himself. This is somebody, the narrator, writing this about him. Exactly. Jesus ain't said nothing until he gets down here and say, and from that time forth, Jesus began to show him unto his disciples how that he must go into Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and the chief priests and the scribes and be killed and raised from the dead the third day. Whoever it was that wrote this heard this and was repeating what they saw and heard him say. Jesus didn't say it directly to whoever wrote this, but so whoever wrote this was around, even if it was the Holy Spirit or your holy self or your eternal self. It is second person writing.
So what we have been exposed to, I dare say, even in church, or even I won't say even church, I'll just leave that out. What we've been exposed to and what we have received mostly in our religious circles is the religion about Christ, not the religion of Christ. So when the religion about Christ is learning all about him and what he was, but the religion of Christ is when he showed us what divinity is and where divinity is.
Okay, here's my point, and what she's saying too. I am interested in understanding what is it or how is it, and maybe I don't need to say how, but make a point. I'm going after first person.
Yes.
I don't want to tell you what he said.
And first person is being that person.
Okay. When I get up in the morning, in first person, I say good morning. I don't get up and say, I am Clifton Sawyer, your husband, good morning.
Right.
I'm not going to say that in second person. I am saying good morning.
Not only that, but you're not getting up in the morning and saying good morning because you were taught that's the proper thing to do.
Now you see it.
It has to come from a spontaneity.
There you go. That's a narrative. So I am, but I'm talking like I ain't.
So if let's make it real practical.
Make it real practical.
Because if I get up in the morning and I say good morning, that I'm not saying it because it's my duty to say it, or my obligation to say it, or someone has told me that's what love does. So many of us have learned what love does and tried to do it. That is not what we're talking about, because that's not coming from spontaneity. That's coming from trying to live out what your mind has remembered about what Christ is. So what we're saying is to go into that place of relaxing and knowing that whatever you are is Christ, and that when you get up in the morning, when you do anything, it is Christ doing it. It's not a remembering and trying to live up to some image, a spiritual image.
Now, when I tell you I will be on this at 10 o'clock, what I'm telling you in first person, I'm telling you in second person again, that I'm going in the second stage of this thing. I'm going to create this.
Okay.
I'm going to make this happen. Now, when I make this happen, after it happens, I don't need to fool with it no more, because it's over.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes,
it's over.
Okay.
It's over.
Okay.
And now, whatever I do after I appear to you, glory, on this screen or in that place, I no longer need or have to talk about me being there at all.
So having said that,
Mm-hmm.
this is how I'm going to tell you how I live my life, and then you can look at this and determine whether or not I'm not saying this is a right or wrong way. I'm just saying this. I don't walk around trying to fulfill any image, spiritually or otherwise. So I live my life in as much spontaneity as possible, and in in recognizing when grace points it out to me, when the ego is in play, recognizing when grace points it out to me when I am lost in my mind, and everything is depending on the grace to bring the recognition. It's not me trying to remember. It's grace bringing the recognition. That make any sense?
Yeah, I understand. Now,
and I may be using the wrong words, but that's how it seems to me. Yeah.
Now, I am going to the store. I'm telling you what me in first person is going to do. Okay. Me going to the store.
We do that a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
We often say that. I'm going to the store.
And then I'll create it.
This.
See this? A narrator, he said, and then somebody came about. Up above that, he said, and I say unto thee, blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah. And in the 17th verse above, they said, and Jesus answered and said, somebody is still telling us what Jesus said.
And that's second person.
That's second person. Lord, I'm seeing this thing as second person. I don't want to hear no second person. I want to hear first person.
So even coming from us, you guys don't want to hear what Jesus tells us to say.
No, say it.
Let him say it.
Now watch this. I call forth the Christ in all of you. Yeah. I reveal the Christ consciousness to you because I am the Christ consciousness speaking to the Christ consciousness.
We call that Christ consciousness forth.
That Christ consciousness is now revealing itself to you. Now, I'm not praying to God. I'm not asking him. I'm telling you as the Christ consciousness to come forth.
We're calling Lazarus out of the grave.
Yes. Now, catch this. This is the key to the power of God that operates beyond ego. Yes. Ego is the first and second person, and the ego is telling you what Jesus said. And if you remove the narrator, you're not going to have anything on this page.
So that tells me this too, Pastor, is that there are times when God will make a concession for the limited self. And you'll hear something spoken to you from God, from spirit. But then there is a place, a dimension when there are no voices coming to anyone, because there's no one here for the voice to come to, that you are the voice, where you become that voice.
Now, can you go back, look at this incident. Jesus said, Simon Bar-Jonah, who do men say that I am? Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. Somebody is still telling you what Simon Bar-Jonah said, what Peter said. Now, will the real person please stand up and talk?
You know, you made me think about yesterday. Yesterday, we had parts of our family over. My sister and her kids were over, my nieces and nephews, and my brother-in-law. And we were in the kitchen talking, and our 19-year-old niece, great niece, that is, she had been having panic attacks maybe a year or so ago, and they had been giving her medications for it. And I don't think she'd mind me saying this. And she said she didn't want to continue to take the medication because it made her feel didn't make her feel right. She began to embark on meditation and being alone. She said, this is how she put it, being alone. And she said she noticed all her friends started dropping off. Now she's absolutely alone. No one contacting or interacting with her at all, no, her peers, that is. And she, in the process of her being alone, she said this, and this blew our minds. In the process of this young lady has discovered who she is.
Yeah, she did. She said that.
Now understands mindfulness, now understands oneness, now understands what the ego is, and is learning what the ego does, and hasn't read one book about it.
That's right.
Has not read one book. The truth was inside of her, just waiting for her to get along to herself.
Her daddy thinks she's the old spirit, but she's the real self.
And when she got alone with herself and looked at herself deeply, that's how she healed her own anxiety.
Her Christ self healed the anxiety from inside the finite body.
Yes. And she knows everything that we know from study and everything else. She already knows it, and on the road to knowing more about herself. And as she's done that, she's discovered God in herself.
Now I bring forth the same thing to you out there. I present to you the Christ, which I really don't have to, but since we in a finite, separated addiction world, let's break this thing of addiction and go straight to the heart of this thing. By factuality, we know now that we don't have to have a middleman or a middle girl to do this, because we know the
truth. We don't
truth.
Even need a sacred text.
Set free from separation.
We don't need a book. We don't need a guru.
No.
That is already in us.
The Rugu, the guru or the Rugu is our Christ identity. And I speak from the Christ to the Christ. When you speak forgiveness to yourself, your forgiveness is being reached to the forgiveness in others as you speak. When you love through your love self, you are loving the same love self out there in the audience and around you. So the key to you is your Christ identity. Don't pay any attention to the feelings of this thing or the trying to understand it. You don't. This girl didn't understand anything she said from the beginning. She said she thought we was crazy.
The first time she heard him talk, she said, I thought you were crazy.
Yeah.
She did. But she has found herself just by being alone. Just by being alone. And also she said this. She said, I'm a light worker. She said, I think I'm a light worker.
Yes, she said
and he asked her, well, what is a light worker? She said, I don't know. I don't know.
She said she didn't know. She said, I don't want to say
but
it.
But the awareness of who she is and what she is already coming forth.
I'm going to talk to her some more. I put it like that. I'm going to listen to her
some more. Yes.
Here's the key to the Christ self.
And she's only 19.
Here's the key to the Christ self. Listen.
And so that's what she's been doing.
Pay attention.
While she's alone, and she's not afraid of the solitude.
Yep.
She's not afraid of the silence.
That's right.
She's embracing it, and it's helping her.
She said she found out, after finding out who she is, how to remove makeup from her face, not to say with judgment, for or not. Some
Well,
people need to wear it, but I'm
let's
just
no,
saying.
let's
Yeah,
deal with that because it's
yeah.
not just about her giving up makeup.
Okay.
This young lady had started to wear a lot of and really mastered the technique of putting on makeup. She was really into it. And beautiful young lady, beautiful girl. And we began to say in ourselves, she didn't need all that because she's so pretty. Well, now that she has gone through this metamorphosis
and change,
she now has decided she doesn't want to wear any makeup.
Didn't have to say anything.
Doesn't want to do certain things to her hair anymore. She wants to be more natural.
Yeah.
And she said she might go back to wearing it, but she doesn't right now. She doesn't feel like she needs it. So all of the imagery that she had of herself is what has been dealt with.
Yep.
Without anybody saying anything to her, without anybody saying you shouldn't wear that much makeup, without anybody saying why are you wearing all of that. She came to the truth of herself without all of that, without any intervention from a human at all.
I am aware that I am the observer of the Jesus body, the Sawyer body, or your body.
Yes.
I am aware of the bad thoughts. I am aware of the story. I am aware and observing the pictures and the images. But this thing has driven the stake home to the heart of this thing. And the heart of this thing is that all these things that are being talked about is being talked about from a finite perspective because the eternal self does not talk about itself. It just is.
Yes.
And its communication is like right now in second person, Sawyer is talking about the eternal self.
And it's
Lord have mercy.
Yes, and it has to be that way. And you'll notice in the scriptures.
It has to be, yeah.
You notice in the scripture, there were times when Jesus spoke out of that separateness.
Yes.
And then there were times when he spoke completely out of that oneness.
Yes.
Lori says that that's what she's going through. I assume you mean that going back to being natural or whatever, but it's all because of the imagery that she had of herself that's being changed. I put it up there. You don't have to look over here. And so that imagery is being changed and inside herself. And that's why she's changing. She's just being different because she's a different being.
What we are trying to do is show you that you do not have to correct yourself or correct anything anymore. Look at it, let it alone, let it do, let it be. The correcting in that child is another form of judgment. And that correcting is not in the hands of a finite being. But the finite being takes it on itself that it has to fix it. And we just read out of the affirmations that there's nothing to fix.
It's nothing.
It's okay like it is.
Nothing to change.
Somebody asked me yesterday, what is God going to do about this situation in the country? I said nothing.
Exactly.
But you go back into the compartmentalizing prophetic evangelical, it would say God it just showed me first, second, third person.
That's separation again.
Compartmentalized.
God.
That God
and
is
me.
judging the country and the nation. No, the God that is judging the country and the nation
is the one that's standing there talking.
Standing there talking is the ego. Now, here's what I want to point out to you in this scripture. As long as Peter was speaking from the Christ identity, when he said, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God," that was recognition of the Christ self. When Peter said, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God," I could say to you right now that inside of every president of the United States, there was a Christ, the Son of the living
There
God.
is the Christ.
And there is the Christ in
Mhm.
each one of them, as
Mhm.
well as each one of us right now.
And it's easy to say that, even if I don't like
Yeah.
that particular
Yeah.
president and the way he
Yeah.
handled things,
Yeah.
because he's agreed to play that
Yeah.
role
Yeah.
prior to
Mhm.
us coming to this earth.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm going to read what Turquoise has said. She
Mhm.
says, the solitude prevents distraction and
Mhm.
noise from others. So when I can't remember I don't know what she's saying. So when can our true self, I'm not sure what she's saying there.
When can
She
her
rewrote
true
it. She rewrote it. The solitude prevents distraction and noise from others, so we are left to hear our true self. Thank you, Turquoise. Yes. So the solitude, she went into solitude because she didn't want to continue to take the medication. And the solitude helped her to deal with the anxiety, but she doesn't have words or verbiage to explain how it happened. She just knows that finding herself cured her of the anxiety.
Mhm. Mhm. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, finding herself, it's like her finite self said at the end of itself, something came to the end.
Mm-hmm.
I never tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what the game
Mm-hmm.
was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, watch this. I had this to happen this week. I think we mentioned it last Tuesday.
Oh, I just realized something.
Okay, go ahead.
I just realized
I'm
something.
waiting.
What happened to her
Okay.
in her solitude
Okay.
was she realized in her solitude what was causing the suffering.
Mm-hmm.
The suffering was coming from her trying to maintain an image that was not who she was.
Mm-hmm.
That's where her anxiety was coming from,
Mm-hmm.
trying to maintain that image and could not maintain it. And therefore, she had the suffering of anxiety. When she decided to go into her solitary place and to be alone, really be alone, she allowed her friends to walk away without her resisting what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
She is still in that. She says she's in a process of being alone. That's the way she put it. And that she doesn't know when she comes out of this, or if she comes out of this, how she'll be. But she realized that while she was in that solitary place, the image that she was trying to be was not who she was.
Now, when I look at her, I am aware. See, let me tell you something about awareness. When you are aware, or put it like that, when awareness is aware of awareness,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
it is aware of all awareness in the room.
mm-hmm.
Every awareness is only one awareness, but because of the game, the God playing awareness game, it seems like it's 5 or 6 or 10 or in numbers of awareness in the room.
Yes.
But there's only one awareness.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody out there right now. I had to switch. In awareness, you're behind in a car payment and a house payment. You may not be responding to sending notes over this class.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening. I can feel you. I can sense you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a miracle of supernatural intervention that's getting ready to take place.
Wow.
Through your Christ identity. Nothing coming, nothing to be sent, but there's everything taking place because of your rent. In your rent, you will see that there's no pennies left behind and no shortness that will come to thee. You shall see the blessing of God that shall come upon thee and overtake thee, for it shall be a miracle, supernatural intervention from the Christ self within thee.
Yes.
I put the thee in the dust there. This is the way I say it, but it don't have to be said like that.
Yes.
Okay. You are going to see a resting place from the inner sanctuary of your Christ self over the whole situation.
Yes.
And I can feel the words coming to me from it's turning around, hitting me on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I wanted to mention something that Jill, let me see, I'll make sure.
Mm-hmm.
put up here what Jill said. Jill said panic attacks were a tool used to wake up. Yes, and I'm glad you said that, because we mentioned that to her while talking to her yesterday, that what happened was the panic attack had been given as, well, let me go back. In her sacred script, the elaboration of her sacred script, there was the putting of this clue in this incarnation so that she would wake up. And I told her this. I said, all of us, when we have a prior incarnation, we evolve up to a certain point. When we get to that point and we pass from that particular incarnation, in between the next, from that incarnation to the next, there's an in-between state. At that in-between state, there is another pre-collaboration for role playing and all of the things like this, and setting up of clues to wake yourself up. And so this panic attack was her clue to wake up. So that's true, Jill, what you just said. It was used as a tool to wake her up.
There's a vision, and it's time for you to see. There was a vision inside of this child. And at such a time that her infinite eternal self saw fit in her finite mind. Let me tell you another one. It pleased the Father to bruise him. Now watch this. The altar and the stones was divinely ordered to be put together for Abraham to put Isaac on the altar. The whole thing is a mystery of God incarnated.
Yes. Yes.
The mystery behind the needs of the anxiety is an incarnated God display.
Yes.
God put himself into an anxiety situation and turn around and got himself out of it. That's removing all darkness, demonic, Satan. That doesn't mean that this dark world don't exist. But what we're saying to you is this: as long as you can walk this thing and stay in your true identity, it does not mean that the darkness is not around, but it means it shall not overtake you, because you've been overtaken by your true identity.
Yes, yes. I want to put what
be
Pastor
to God.
Norman wrote as well.
Glory be to God.
You can see it over there, sweetheart. She was freed from the noise and the distractions of the opinions and perceptions of the expectations of others placed on us. And let's take it a step further, Pastor Norman, because it wasn't the opinions and perceptions of others that were saying anything or doing anything. It was her own perception and opinion of herself that was causing her to have the anxiety. And so what I've noticed is that our egos are good at projecting the blame somewhere else. So it wasn't the perceptions of another person that affected her. It was her own. And so when it's like, I'm only seeing in them what I see in myself. What is myself? And then it's a projection of all that I'm seeing as my own self-concept. That's how people see us, is how we see ourselves.
Well, I'm going to give you a revelation.
Give me one.
In the book of Revelation, said that the voice of God, the voice of many waters. I want you guys to hear this.
Yeah.
When our physical anatomy is beginning to form in the womb, the sound vibrations of every noise around us is recorded.
Yeah.
When my body was inside my mother's womb and all the people were standing in the room talking, the subconscious part
soaked it up,
was receiving all the voices.
Yes.
That anxiety that was there was the voices that was being pushed to the surface. and they were given their last.
The anxiety attack was a near-death experience of the mind.
Yes.
Oliver says this. It's a universal experience that we all must have.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Yes,
all
sir.
the voices that was in this child subconscious mind was pushed
Yes.
into the storm. That storm that was over the sea with Jesus on the boat was anxiety attack.
Yes. But she found the eye.
Now,
she found the eye of the
eye
storm.
was in the hinder part of the boat,
where there was no disturbance.
That's right. The undisturbed.
And in order for you to continue not to have a disturbance, you have to follow the storm. Stay in the eye.
You got to stay in the eye.
Stay in the eye.
That's only one.
So as the storm moves, you got to move with it and stay in the eye.
That's right. One single eye. Now, you are hearing the function of the unction of the full manifestation of salvation. She's experiencing it.
And I'm grateful for her being for us having the experience of her right now in our lives, because she has given us so much clarity, knowing that the truth of who you are is already there, present inside your mind, inside your heart. You don't have to look for it in a book. You don't have to look for it in a webinar. You don't have to look for it in a workshop. You don't have to look for it anywhere. It is there where you are. If you dare to look deep enough inside yourself and find God there.
After 3 days or 6 days, it said, the narrator said, he taketh Peter, James, and John and his brothers and bringeth them into a high mountain apart. The narrator speaking.
Yes.
Whoever it was that was there is repeating what they observed.
Yes.
The disciples didn't write this.
That's true.
If they did, we don't know not much more about it, but somebody wrote this and put it in there as a second person or a third person.
Yeah.
And then it said here
as the ghostwriter.
And was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as light. I've seen him like this. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elijah. Somebody telling about it.
Yes.
Now, I want to present something to you guys. Anxiety is trying to prove that it is more real than your eternal self, the Christ.
That's true.
If the eternal self is real, and it is, something is trying to bogog with our mind,
or bully
the mind, to give off the addiction that we are more physical than we are spirit.
Yes.
So here's the warfare. The warfare is coming from the monkey, not from us.
Exactly. Yeah.
But our presence in this body is not really welcome. That's why there's an upheaval. We ain't said nothing, but just abide. That's what it means to abide.
Oh, yeah. Stand in the eye.
That's right. Abiding.
Abide.
President Biden. We are abiding. We are a Bideneer. And we are abiding in this body. And it is the anxiety and the notion of the ego mind can't handle us.
That's true. That is so true.
So that's the food.
That's so true.
We got to quit.
Yeah,
our time is up.
But
we're going to come back and get this some more.
This was good today.
We're
It was good today. Type in, stay in the eye of the storms.
Yep.
Type that in if you would.
Yep.
Let's stay in the eye of the storm. That's going to be our thought for the week until we see you on Tuesday. So we will be back. I was just looking at your comments and looking at what I need to do here. we will be back again on Tuesday and Thursday at 2:30 with Pastor Norman at Impromptu. And we just want to make sure that you see what you need to see for giving. I wanted to put that up there. It kind of cuts our bodies off, but I want you to see how to do that. Some of you have been asking how to give. I've had some calls from several of you how to do that. So again, you can text it, and that's CLC Greensboro to 73256, or you can use PayPal.me/Cornerstone35. And that's a new link that for those of you who are out of the country, you can use that link to still give to Cornerstone. Or you can go to the website, and both those PayPal and the on-realm links are there to donate if you choose to do that. Or you can mail it at P.O. Box 36259 in Greensboro 27416. Now, Pastor and I, of course, you remember how to do that. That's Cash App, $A Sawyer Seed. So that's how you give. And if you have any more problems, just email me and I'll make sure that you know. But I wanted to make sure that you guys knew how to do that. And especially those of you who are outside of the country who had not been able to send any funds to us and who've been wanting to send, you can use that PayPal link. So again, we're going to be taking off here. Okay. And they wrote, stay in the eye of the storm, stay in the eye of the storm, stay in the eye of the storm, stay in the eye of. We love you guys. We love you, Dee Dee. Love you, Darlene. James, we love you.
Okay.
Jill, can you see? Because you keep moving over.
I can't. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Now he can see. The mic was in the way. Virginia, we love you. Fleta, we love you. Do you want to say anything?
Oh, I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
Well, we're saying goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye. We'll see you Tuesday night. I'm thinking about what we've been talking about. Go ahead.
What do you think?
Nothing but just more of. We just can't have enough time to finish.
Well,
but
you can finish
no, I'm fine. We'll see you guys Tuesday night. Okay.
Bye, you guys.
All right. Bye-bye.